While Darnley was suffering the effects of what we now know was syphilis at Kirkafield on the outskirts of Edinburgh, Mary would visit him every day and nurse him, and a genuine affection began to develop between the two. It seemed that a reconciliation might be possible after all. Maybe that's what's needed to get Oasis back together. One of the Gallagher brothers has to contract syphilis. Darnley was almost fully recovered. He was due to return to Holyrood the day after the night of his murder, going back to work like Boris Johnson after pretending he had COVID. But then, at 2 o'clock in the morning, the 10th of February 1567, a huge explosion was heard in Edinburgh, making the residents think that it was actually 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Crowds gathered in the streets and they headed for Kirkafield, which had been razed to its foundations. All that remained was a pile of rubble. And as the crowd looked upon the scene, the City of Edinburgh councillors thought, "This is absolutely brilliant. We can finally build student accommodation there now." Everyone else wanted to know what the fate of Darnley was. Darnley and his servant lay dead in a garden 40 feet away on the other side of the town wall, apparently untouched by the blast, and next to him lay a length of rope, a dagger and a chair, making it look like a magic trick gone wrong. Now, the logical explanation here is that Darnley heard some commotion, he tried to escape, his servant lowering him down on the chair tied to the rope. They then tried to run away. They were caught up with by their assailants, who strangled them to death in the garden next to Dominic Cummings giving a press conference. Note to English people, by the way, when we do a gunpowder plot here in Scotland, we make sure that the guy actually dies, even if that means strangling them to death with our bare hands. Now Mary, she was terrified. She thought that she was the intended target of the plotters. She moved to the security of Edinburgh Castle and she offered a reward for anyone who could offer information that would lead to them catching the culprits. This was back in the days when the royal family would offer money to catch culprits as opposed to using money to cover them up. Now everyone thought that it was Bothwell that did this. In his role as Sheriff of Edinburgh, he refused to let anyone sift through the rubble and look for clues, and he wouldn't let anyone touch Darnley's body to examine it. He'd have been absolutely perfect for the Met Police investigation into lockdown parties at Number 10.